Hi, I'm Norm Corrie. You're watching Maroondah Love Dialogues. The dialogues are brought to you in part by a grant from the Maroondah City Council. Love dialogues, what are they? It's the love of one, transmitted to an equal love in other, with unconditional love, but in our case, conditional love. And we'll be talking to people who'll be giving examples from their life of how love works and what they've seen in relation to that. Today we'll be speaking with Sister Corrie Bosch, who is a missionary sister of service. Corrie, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Norm.
Hope.
Hope. Yes, when you told me we were going to talk about hope, I think, what can I say about hope? Because it's not an easy thing to describe, and yet I would say that hope is part of the tenure of my life, I guess. It's something that supports the focus of my life. It's different from optimism. I think hope for me has, and particularly I think I'm aware of it when I'm hitting a low spot or some dark times.
Yep.
And I realise that, this might be tough, but in the end, all will come well because someone is guiding all this. You know, this is part of my growth. This is part of my learning.
Yeah.
And so instead of just dropping my bundle and thinking, what's the use? I might be tempted to do that sometimes.
Yes.
Sure, sometimes I think, do I really want to deal with all this stuff?
No.
But because of the hope particularly, is knowing that in the end, this all serves its own purpose.
Yeah.
And all will be well. This is a phrase from Julian of Norwich that often gets quoted. But I think she saw this. She lived in a time of pandemic. It was the time of the Black Death.
Yes.
And it came in waves over 100 years. So all through her life, they never knew when the next lot was coming. And yet she had this amazing sense of hope and positivity, being able to see the goodness of things and of people, even in the darkest times.
Yes.
Because she just knew, with a deep sense of trust, in the more than themselves. Now, if it relied on me, I mean, there wouldn't be any hope, I tell you. But in a sense, I suppose I could say it's God, but I'm not terribly conscious that it's God that gives it to me, but it's just that there's a focus, it's leading somewhere. And that's in safe hands. Whatever that might be, and however difficult it might look at this time. So it does give me a sense of trust in life and in what life brings.
So when you were just going back to last time we spoke, you were talking about being out in the wide open spaces in central New South Wales. Were there examples from there that being stuck on the road or something, watching hope, maybe a drought and the farmers always having hope that rain will be tomorrow? Have you seen any examples of hope being practiced there?
Oh, when you think of those sorts of things, like New South Wales or Queensland, South Australia, droughts are a regular thing. But then when it rains, it's like you're watching a miracle. It's almost, as you watch, you can see the seeds. The country gradually grows from green, from red to green. And the greenest green, I don't know whether it's because I hadn't seen green for a long time, but it's the greenest green. And then within 2 or 3 weeks, the country is a mass of wildflowers. And the water birds come back. You think, how do they know? Right, so it's like there is something happening in the bigger reality of our world.
It's sort of, I suppose, in a way, your hope builds on memory of the fact that those things happen, that even though it looks dark or it looks dry or whatever, you have the memory of the fact that it's not always like that it does come back.
Yes, and yet I think hope is more than that.
Mm-hmm.
When I listened to Tien's conversation with you on this subject, he said hope's like your soul.
Mm.
And I thought, yeah, maybe it is a bit like that. It's like a presence that colours the way I look at life, the way I look at situations.
Mm.
And sometimes I think that it's people who have the hardest times that know hope more than anybody else.
Yeah.
I've met people when they're just struggling in poverty.
Yes.
And yet they have a simple joy or something. It's hard to actually say what it is. It's not saying that they aren't unhappy in their situation, but there is another level. And not everybody, of course. Not all poor people are like that. But I have met them and it's just remarkably, for me, noted this sense of, there's a trust that in the end they will be okay, despite the hardship and the pain and the suffering.
Yeah. Is that always built on a religious belief, or is it beyond that?
For me it is, of course, because that's what I've grown up with and that's what I live. But I think in a sense it probably always is, but it may not be a religion as such.
No.
I think there is a deep religious sense, maybe it's not the right word, maybe a sense of the sacred, a sense of the more.
Yeah, yep.
And the more is not just having more, but it's like a presence that is sustaining, that carries us through where nothing else will.
Yeah. A sort of sublime awareness of a great unity, that all will be well, but all will be well in part because all is equal, all is in movement towards the same objective. I keep coming back to what you spoke when I spoke to you about love, is the dome of the sky in central New South Wales. That was such a beautiful picture of that lone person. As you said, you got out of your car and you're this lone person. That sort of was a statement of the inevitability of being, there was hope there, there was confidence there was, I am here and all is well.
When you say that, I had a woman come to me for counselling at some stage, and she'd grown up in a very dysfunctional, violent family.
Yeah.
And she was a woman, I'd say in her 40s, and she was still struggling with the woundedness of it and the anger that she still felt and so on.
Yeah.
And I used to get her to do drawings, and her drawings were always done in black. Everything was black.
Everything was black, yes.
But always there was a little piece of gold somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd get her to talk about her drawings, and she would never mention the gold piece. So this happened once, twice. The third time I said to her, what about that bit of gold? What? I said, in each of your drawings, you've had black, but you've had this bit of gold. And she became quiet. And she said, when I was 19, I went with a group of my peers to the Flinders Ranges, and we were camped in Wilpena Pound. I know the area, I've been there. And she said, I woke up early one morning before the others, and I went for a walk, and I walked to the top of St. Mary's Peak, and I get to the top, and I sit there, and she said, I just felt myself enveloped by love.
Yeah.
And as she was telling the story, her face softened, her body relaxed, something beautiful that happened maybe 20 years
Yeah.
or more before.
Yeah.
And here the memory reconnected with that brought as powerful healing for her.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and that's the hope.
Yeah.
That is built into this wonderful universe that we have that holds us.
Woven into it.
Woven
Yeah.
in, yes.
Yes. It's a fabric. That's a beautiful story, because it is that thread of gold, which we have in all of our stories.
Yeah. And that's a good symbol for hope, isn't it?
Yeah,
I hadn't really put it together like that until you said it, but I think it's true.
Yes, no, that's beautiful. But as you said, hope is, well, we've just come out of the pretty much come out of the lockdown and all that stuff. Hope was pretty thin on the ground there, but look at the hope now. It's all around us. People are bouncing up and reviving themselves, so it's around. Yes.
While we know that, it could come back, because it's a very vulnerable time, but we also know that we have coping mechanisms.
That's right.
And we've got a vaccine coming and things like that, but it's not just that. I think there's something deeper.
Something deeper.
Yeah.
And relying on one another.
Yes.
Corrie, thank you very much. You're watching Love Dialogues, and we will now have a guided meditation from Frances Cassidy.
Hello, my name is Frances, and I'm part of the Love Dialogue team. In this session, Norm speaks to Sister Corrie, a missionary sister of service, and the topic today is on hope. So for the purpose of this recording, I shall share with you what I heard from the conversation. I echo Sister Corrie's first words when Norm asks her, "What is hope for you?" That is a very big topic. So hope is not always easy, especially in tough times. And the times when you want to put things into the too hard basket, which Sister Corrie says has done many times. But over time I've learned that with hope, situations do get better. Over the years I've been inspired by the writings of St. Julian of Norwich, and a phrase that she coined, a very simple phrase, "All will be well." 1,000 years later, and this phrase is still commonly used. So back to hope. I suppose hope is a choice that I make, and in my experience, goodness does come out of periods of darkness. Hope does make us strong. There is nothing more powerful than hope, and I've certainly been aware of it throughout my life. I believe with hope we can do anything. But yet, to have hope, it requires trust. Having hope is believing that change is not only possible, but also within your power. It's knowing that this moment is not the end. Again, the word trusting is about trusting that you have the ability to do something different. A belief that we can get through our difficulties. As I listened deeper into the conversation, I became aware of the power of hope. It seems to me hope is far stronger than fear, than anger, than sadness. Hope is about healing. Hope gives us the opportunity to reconnect with our inner selves, the warrior within that brings us power and stamina. We just have to welcome the difficulties. And all hope is to move forward. It's about embracing strength, courage, compassion, and patience, and of course, trust. Trusting that in the end, all will be well. Having hope is believing that change is not only possible, but also inevitable and within your power. It's the knowing that this moment is not permanent and that we always have the ability to do something different in the next moment. It's knowing that you're powerful enough to transform any moment into whatever you want it to be. You just have to believe and accept this fact. We are all capable of realizing hope. So now let's move on to a meditation. A meditation on hope. So closing your eyes, breathe in hope, breathe out despair, uncertainty. Breathe in hope and breathe out any fear or anxiety that you may be holding. Breathe it out. Let it go. Again, breathing in hope and breathing out hope. Relax the muscles in your face, your shoulders, your stomach, your legs, always returning to your breath. It will help you release tension in your mind and body if you allow it. There's purpose behind every experience. It might be difficult to understand while we're in the midst of a catastrophe like this time of pandemic. But that is what makes hope so powerful. Everything will always work out for our highest good and for the highest good of all living beings everywhere. Yes, I know often this is hard to understand, but with hope, we can believe that one day soon, everything will make sense. So breathe in deeply. Exhale calmly. Breathe in your own rhythm. Our breath gently moves in and out. No effort. Allow it to flow. There is nowhere you need to go in this moment, but relax, enjoying your deep, calming breaths. So keep your mind present as the oxygen flows through your lungs. And imagine hope running through your veins. They say a person needs just 3 things to be truly happy in this world. Someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for. There are many quotes and insights and affirmations written on hope, written by a variety of people. So I'm going to say a few to you, which have come from extremely wise beings. You may have heard them before. So Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Vietnamese monk and scholar of Zen meditation, he tells us, hope is important because it can make the present moment less difficult to bear. If we believe that tomorrow will be better, we can bear the hardship today. Robert Schuller says, let your hopes, not your hearts, shape your future. And how pertinent is that? Letting our hearts dissipate, bringing in hope, allowing hope to shape our daily lives. Desmond Tutu, he says, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness. And I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast today will have gone through their own periods of darkness. And somehow, as we get through them, and we start to feel a glimmer of hope, life becomes light. So perhaps you would like to repeat any of these affirmations, or do a bit of searching on the internet and find many affirmations or insights on hope. Peter Slower says, when you have lost hope, you have lost everything. And when you think all is lost, when all is dire and bleak, there is always hope. There is always hope. So here are a few of my favourite, just one-liner affirmations. There is purpose to every experience. What's meant to be will always find a way. The darkest nights produce the brightest stars. The roughest seas make the strongest sailors. The strongest storms create the brightest rainbows. The best view comes from the highest climb. So I want you to leave you with these feelings of optimism and hope. Struggle does not exist without purpose and reward. Even our lowest moments, both as individuals and as a collective, will give rise to our proudest moments. We are strong because we made it through, not because we gave up. So hope is a choice. Hope helps us carry on during difficult times. And hope can come in many different shapes and forms. It may be through your own favourite music, or a good book, or even listening to your favourite podcast. So make the choice. Find your purpose. Embrace your life. For it is hope that brings us closer to what we are meant to be. So I invite you to gently return back to this space. Opening your eyes, moving different parts of your body, just awakening your spirit. And hopefully with a sense of hope. Hope for the day you are approaching. Thank you for joining us today.
You've been watching Maroondah Love Dialogues. You can follow us on www.jansencentre.org. Thanks again for watching, and bye for now.